Hey, what's up, guys? We are the Airtime Misfits Podcast. I am your host, Adam, alongside Nick.
What's up, guys?
Oh, shoot. It's another episode. Today, we're going to be talking about Shoot the Rapids. It's the best pun I could come up with.
That was a good one. What
Okay.
couldn't have done better
It
myself.
really is like we almost kind of screwed ourselves with these puns because they're a challenge to come up with. But
Yes.
it's fun.
Sometimes it's a stretch
Yeah.
sometimes, but we make it happen,
Yeah,
darn it.
we do. All right, so yeah, we're talking about Shoot the Rapids at Cedar Point. We might also talk a little bit about Snake River Falls, and we'll get into that whole area that's going to be available now to Cedar Point for future development. So stick around.
So Shoot the Rapids opened in June of 2010. It had a very short life, as we all know. It closed in September of 2015, and it doesn't have any coaster-worthy stats to speak of. Of
No.
course, it's an 85-foot height, 85-foot drop, um, length of 2,100 feet. It's pretty good. 45-degree max vertical angle, 1,200 riders per hour. Seems pretty standard.
Yeah, it
Um,
did have two drops, which was unique for
yes,
a log flume.
yes, and Cedar Point kind of had a choice to make with how they promote this, right? They could have promoted it as another coaster of sorts or as a log flume to
Right.
kind of replace uh, the old Shoot the Rapids originally, and of course Whitewater Landing,
Yeah.
which is in that. Um, but they kind of advertised it as something one in its own, and it's just a shame that it really didn't have the best life.
No, no, not at all. And I love a good log flume. And
Yes,
I think when Cedar Point removed Whitewater Landing, which would have been like 2006, 2007,
yes, yes.
it was definitely missing from the park. Like people love log flumes. They're like
Yeah.
people eaters. The GA love them, or the GP, General Admission, or General Public.
General Public Vintage
Yeah. Uh, little shout out
tag.
there.
Make sure you put a tag there
Yeah,
for
all
me.
right. Well. Yeah, so like I was really excited when Cedar Point announced Shoot the Rapids. And then when they released the initial concept artwork, I thought it looked cool. Like having two drops was pretty cool. And where they built it out on what used to be called Millennium Island, I think now it's called like
Hmm.
Adventure Island.
Yeah, I
I
think
thought it was
that's the
going to
name
be
for it.
awesome.
Yes.
And in
Yeah.
person, it looked beautiful. Like if you were,
Hmm.
because it's right across, if you've been to Cedar Point, it's right across from the petting zoo.
Hmm.
So like if you are looking, standing there looking, it looked great, but
Yeah.
ride wise, not so great, I didn't think. It was a little
No.
dull.
Yeah, dull. I think
Hmm.
that's the best word. It's not eventful.
No.
I probably rode it two or three times
Yeah.
in total, and it I don't know. There was just something about it that didn't keep me coming back for
Hmm.
rewrites. You didn't get soaked, which was kind of annoying because you got just kind of damp.
Yeah.
It's one of those where it's not like if you're gonna get wet, at least know that you're gonna have to commit to the whole thing.
Yeah.
But
It,
this was just kind of that in betweener, and I didn't enjoy that aspect of
yeah,
it
it was
particularly.
like it, see, I do like Whitewater Landing better, and I
Yeah, oh,
think
100%.
I don't know why exactly. I think Shoot the Rapids, it had the two drops, which were fun, but everything that happened in between the two drops was like very
Yeah, you just
slow
kind
and
of
uneventful.
moseyed around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so these log flume trains, or I don't know, they're not called trains, the flumes, the logs,
Mhm.
whatever they're called, they could hold
The
10 people, but I don't think they ever actually held 10 people because
No.
so from the start, we can kind of get into some of the problems that Shoot the
Oh
Rapids
yeah,
had.
there
Um,
are plenty.
so it was designed and constructed by Interride, which is a North American sub subsidiary of Intamin.
Hmm.
Uh, from I think before even the end of the first year, like they had to stop fully loading the vehicles,
I
and they
remember
would
reading that in the
leave,
newspaper.
yeah, and so they would have to leave like the middle row empty. And I think I remember hearing because they were too heavy and they were bottoming out in the first drop.
Hmm.
Um, and I can't remember if Cedar Point ever tried to address it. I don't think they ever tried to replace the vehicles, but
No, I think at one point they looked into it, or
yeah.
they made an attempt to make some sort of modification. I don't
Hmm.
remember exactly, but I do remember there was probably some sort of band-aid effort there.
Yeah.
But yeah, ultimately it wasn't going to last as it was. So regardless of the other incidences we will talk about,
Yeah.
it wasn't going to last long either way. And I'm
No.
sure that was evident to Cedar Point from jump.
It's pretty bizarre to me too. Like I don't know how much testing goes into this before they actually like build these like log flume like the vehicles. Same with
Hmm.
like what Cedar Point's going through with Top Thrill 2 is like they've had all these issues with the trains. I think that's like the big issue with Top Thrill 2 why it's not working is the trains, but
Yeah.
it's just bizarre to me that Intamin can't like figure this out before the ride is built and before it's like open to the public. Like, I don't, I mean, I
Yeah.
guess some of the stuff maybe you can't test for until you get like people riding it on it all day, every day, and then maybe there's like things you can't really test for, like stress and whatever
Right.
else goes into it. But
Yeah.
I mean, Cedar Point couldn't have felt great about opening this brand new log flume and then having issues with it like the first summer.
Right. Exactly. And you got to think about all the issues Cedar Point has already had with Intamin at this
Mm-hmm.
point.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's uh, the Heartline roll on Maverick,
Yeah.
the uh, very checkered history with Top Thrill Dragster.
Yeah.
At this point, it had been open for like 7 years when this opened, I
Mm-hmm.
think. And yeah, it barely even had an opening year. It's hard to even say it was open for 7 years at that
Right.
point.
Right.
Um, but, uh, that mixed with Millennium having its fair share of problems over the years. And
Mm-hmm.
uh, this was probably a soft strike, too, I would say, for Intimate.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Because all of the other stuff was mildly forgivable. It wasn't that expensive. This was a $10.5 million investment.
Yeah. Pretty
And
expensive for a log flume.
oh yeah. And it was innovative and it was all this other stuff, I guess. But it just was doomed from jump, you
Yeah.
know? It just was not gonna be a sustainable ride.
Right. Yeah. And like to not be able to fill those log flume or, the vehicles and then that, completely cut into the capacity that they could run on that ride, which,
Yeah.
they were counting on that. And then, yeah. And then, so I guess we can get into the main issue that happened
Oh
with,
boy.
with Shoot the Rapids. So
Yes.
in 2013, uh, one of the ride vehicles rolled backwards down the lift hill and flipped over.
Yes, it sure did.
And it injured all seven people on board.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so I think once that happened, it shut down for the remainder of the season, and there was
Mm-hmm.
an investigation. But surprisingly, it did reopen the next year, the next summer.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It
But I
did.
think the writing was already on the wall at that point
Yes. Oh,
because,
it
yeah,
had to have been. I mean, yeah, because when a ride vehicle flips and you have people injured,
yeah,
I mean, obviously nowadays you got to think, Top Thrill shut down in 2022,
hmm,
right? Um,
yeah,
and that was due to an injury, and it
yeah,
shut the ride down for good.
yep,
That kind of thing, if that happens nowadays, it kills a ride.
hmm,
Back then, they were like, "Let's try again next year,"
yeah,
and they did it again and again and again, and they continued to have issues.
yeah,
But it wasn't until finally 2015 when they were like, "We got to pull the plug on this thing,"
yeah, yep. It
which is crazy.
Yeah, it was just failed from the start. And
Yes,
I mean they're lucky that no one was killed when it flipped or
yes.
drowned because
Oh my gosh, that would have killed the ride for sure.
yeah,
Had
because
someone died, yes.
unlike Whitewater Landing where you're sitting in like a traditional like log vehicle where you're kind of a line of people one behind the other and not belted in or anything. Shoot the Rapids is different. Like you have a harness that comes over the front of you, and then it's like a lap bar.
Hmm.
So like I think luckily there were people at the park that saw the log flume flip upside down and were able to like jump down in and like hold it up to get the people out so they didn't drown.
Well, you and I know somebody that was a witness to
Yes, we
this,
do. Are you talking
and
about? We're
yeah,
talking
he's a
about
legend at
Paul?
Cedar
Yes.
Point. Yeah, we're
Yeah.
talking about Paul.
Yeah.
Uh, Shout out to Paul the woodcarver at Cedar Point.
Oh yeah.
He's a legend among men,
Yes.
and
He's a wealth
he
of
is
knowledge
and he's
too.
also the definition of a good Samaritan.
Yes.
Um, saw it all, did what he could to jump in. Anyway, could go
Yeah.
on about the guy.
Yeah.
Shout out to him. But
Yeah.
yes, it was a very tragic event. I can't imagine having witnessed that just walking the
I
midway.
know.
Like it's a very shaded area. A lot of
Mm-hmm.
people flock there when it's hot.
Yeah.
Um, so I'm sure a lot of people saw this or had to see it, you
Yeah.
know? Um, but yeah, it was almost like an insult to the people who were injured and traumatized to say, "Yeah, we'll try again. Sorry, guys."
Yeah.
Uh, you know, because as we know, this was not the end of its issues.
Right. And for it to even roll backwards down the lift hill was like a major technical flaw because, they're built to lock in as they're going up. So it's not so it's like supposed to be like nearly impossible to roll backwards. So I don't know what happened with that. And I don't
Yeah,
know what they obviously they fixed it before they reopened it, but it doesn't seem like they made any other adjustments or improvements to the ride because
no.
it was still like the vehicles were still only half full and
Hmm. Yeah,
so
and it was definitely like I said before, any adjustment they made was not to prolong its life. It was to
yeah.
kind of just let's get through the year and
Hmm.
reassess. You
Yeah.
know, it's like it was never any multi-million dollar, like kind of like
No.
what Cedar Point's having to do with Top Thrill 2,
Right. Yeah.
investment. It was just kind of a, no, we'll try and add some weight to the bottom to even it out. I don't
Yeah.
know. Like I don't know what they were doing over there,
Yeah.
really.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, so when it was finally announced that they were removing it, which was in 2016.
16, yeah,
Yeah.
or like February 2016.
Yeah. I mean, I was pretty surprised just with how new it is. It was only six
Yeah,
years old at that point.
sure.
So I was surprised that they were removing it rather than trying to fix it or improve it because
Yeah.
I think, I could see how some people, the ride's only 6 years old, they paid $10.5 million for it. Like, I feel
Hmm.
like sometimes a park feels like they've already invested so much in the ride, like they can't just get rid of it. Like they have to
Sure.
like, try to keep it going.
Sure.
But
Yeah.
so I guess I kind of respect that they just thought like, we can't put any more money into this. It's only 6 years old, but we just got to pull the plug on it.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Hmm.
mean, I think ultimately it was the best decision they could make out of the
Hmm.
deal. Just kind of eat the money and try and
Hmm.
find something better.
Yeah.
And we'll get into what we think might be paying off for
Yeah.
this at the
Yes.
end here.
Well,
But
yeah, I was gonna say the initial thing that they replaced it with was the Frontier Fling,
yes,
which was like it didn't take up all the because so they removed the ride, but they left the station of Shoot the Rapids, and also like
yes,
you could kind of see like the first like splashdown area. They left that, um, and
yeah,
then Frontier Fling was moved over there. That was when Cedar Point was adding Cedar Point Shores, which is their water park expansion.
hmm,
And then a couple years later, they opened Forbidden Frontier, which used Shoot the Rapids Station. Like you walk through that, and then even like parts of Shoot the Rapids where the log flume went through, like the canyon part. Like now you're able to walk through that and then go on
yeah,
to Adventure Island. And as we all
hmm,
know, that only lasted a few years because that is now closed.
yeah,
Um,
right,
and then actually, just it was confirmed like just a few weeks ago that Frontier Fling is now getting taken down.
right.
And then also we just learned a couple weeks ago that Snake River Falls is being removed. So,
Yes, there seems to be something in the force here. Uh,
hmm,
I think to be clearing out such a large area like
yeah,
that,
that's a
also,
massive, yeah, massive land. And then
They're
Uh,
cooking.
yeah, they are cooking something. Well,
They're cooking.
even in addition to that, they're the paddle wheel ride. What was it called? Snake River
Paddle wheel
Expedition.
excursion. Oh, Snake River. Yeah, yeah, that's a
And
big chunk near there too.
yeah, I mean technically is only on the little river there around Cedar Point, but even with that
Yeah,
being removed, I mean that's like, because if you were to add a ride, just like Shoot the Rapids, like you have to clear the river and leave enough clearance for the boats to get through. But
yeah.
with that being gone, that's not really an issue anymore. But I mean,
No.
it's interesting, like all these rides that are either on or around Adventure Island are now being removed or
Hmm.
have been removed in the last few years. So I mean,
Right.
between all of these rides being removed, it's a massive plot of land.
Yes, I agree. And I certainly have my theories,
Yeah,
and as I'm sure you do
I
too.
do.
Uh,
Yes. I
so
have my theories and my wish list.
I have a wish list too, gosh darn it. But I think my theory is ultimately the most likely thing to happen, and I believe it's probably what you think
Yeah,
too.
let's just say it.
GCI family wooden
Yeah,
coaster.
absolutely. I would take a
Yep,
Gravity Group coaster as well, but GCI would be my first choice, but
I would
absolutely
love Gravity
100%
Group.
a wooden coaster.
Yes, it will be some sort of family wooden coaster.
Yes.
It's the one thing Cedar Point doesn't have.
Right.
They've added the obligatory wild mouse.
Yeah.
They've uh, they're working on trying to revamp their marquee attraction.
Yep.
Um,
With Top
they
Thrill
they've
2,
got
right? Yeah.
yeah,
Uh-huh.
they've got everything.
Yeah.
They've got the best roller coaster in the world. What are they missing? A freaking wooden coaster.
Yeah. I mean,
They don't have one.
no, I mean they have Blue Streak.
Blue Streak. But aside from Blue Streak, I mean, people think
Yeah.
Gemini is, but
It's
technically,
not. It's a steel
mm-mm,
coaster. It's a steel coaster.
right? They need an update wooden coaster.
Same with Mine Ride, Cedar Creek Mine Ride.
Right.
Yeah, they
Mm-hmm.
don't, I mean, ever since Mean Streak was converted to Steel Vengeance, they don't really have like a modern day wooden coaster. And that wasn't even a
No,
good wooden coaster anyways to begin with.
no, no.
But I would love to see
Maybe
something.
early in its life, but
Yeah,
my goodness.
right. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I would love to see something like Mystic Timbers or
Yes.
Renegade or, one of those wooden coasters. I love a good GCI coaster. Even Thunderhead at Dollywood is cool. Yeah, I think that is what Cedar Point is massively lacking in their coaster lineup. Even
Yes.
with their opening, Siren's Curse this upcoming summer, which is cool. I don't think
Yeah.
the park needed this ride.
No.
Um,
I think they didn't think they needed it either.
right. Yeah, I mean, I would have much rather prefer that coaster go to another park in the Cedar Fair
Sure.
or Six Flags lineup that needs it, like
Yeah.
Six Flags St. Louis
They should have kept it going to
or
Mexico, I
yeah, go to
think.
Mexico,
Yeah, that would
Dorney
have
Park,
that would have done
Valley
well. Yeah.
Fair. Cedar
Sure.
Point doesn't need it, and I don't know. I mean, I'm excited to ride it, but they didn't need this ride. Uh,
No.
so yeah, my number one choice would be a wooden coaster. I would love if they would be able to reuse the Shoot the Rapids station. I can see it going out onto Adventure Island, and
Yeah.
um, I think the best way to access the coaster would be either I would like if you access the coaster where Shoot the Rapids queue was,
Oh yeah,
but
I
I
could
could
see
also
that.
see them. It might even they might
Cutting
use
the
it
other
like
way.
yeah over by Snake River Falls and get
Yeah.
over that way. Yeah.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah,
Hmm.
for sure. I'd love that. I would absolutely love a uh more um mid-level, like, something I could take my daughter on in a couple
Yeah,
years.
it
You know what I
doesn't.
mean?
Yeah, it
Um,
doesn't need to be any kind of
no,
record-breaking height.
no,
Tallest,
it
fastest,
shouldn't be.
whatever
I
wooden
think,
coaster.
yeah, I think Cedar Point needs to take a break with
Hmm.
the record breakers
Yeah,
and
just build a
ride
good
this
ride.
whole,
Yeah.
yeah, just make a good coaster
Hmm.
that it could appeal to lots of different people, not
Yeah.
just enthusiasts or whoever.
Yeah. Well, because
But
I think the biggest the two things that Cedar Point is missing is a wooden coaster and a family ride, and I think you can do that both of those in
yeah,
one thing.
kill two birds with one stone.
Hmm.
That's what I'm saying. I think 100% I could see a GCI or some adjacent,
Hmm.
m- bigger, probably wooden coaster manufacturer, um, to come in and make a family style coaster.
Yeah.
But I agree with you. I would prefer and I would love to see Gravity Group get in at
Hmm.
Cedar Point. That would be huge.
Even I know RMC, they have like a family style wooden coaster that they have now. I forget what it's called.
At which park?
It's like a new style of coaster. They haven't built one yet. It's a new style of coaster. Dang.
Oh, RMC did the Wild Moose.
Yes, that's what it is. Wild Moose. Thank
Yes,
you.
Wild
Yeah, I
Moose.
was just
Yes,
about to look it up. Um, that could be cool, but I don't want that. I don't want that either.
I
I
agree.
just want like a straight up
Give us
GCI wooden coaster.
give us some wood.
Yeah, give us some wood.
Just that's all we're asking.
Yeah. I also think though, another theory that I have, um, is this could be for more than one ride because it's a large
Yeah,
area. And I do think Cedar Point, with the removal of Shoot the Rapids and now Snake River Falls, now they're only down to Thunder Canyon
and Frontier Fling. Yeah,
as their only water ride. So
right.
I mean, I would love a log flume at the park. I don't know if they would try that again. If it's not a log flume,
Yeah.
there is a new flat
Mm.
ride, and I can't remember what it's called. But basically, it sort of looks
Is
like
it
a,
that top spin that goes through the
yeah,
water, kind of?
it
Okay,
looks like
that's
a
what.
top
Yeah,
spin, but it doesn't
yeah.
actually spin, but it raises you up in
Okay,
the air,
that's right.
and then
It's not.
then it like drops you down into this water, and then like a big splash. So I could see something like that
Yeah, for
it
sure.
with
I could see that pairing with a
like a wooden
family
coaster, right?
wooden coaster.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Because
some with a
actually,
small footprint. Yeah,
yeah, and I was gonna say, before we found out about Siren's Curse, and so over the summer of 2024, Cedar Point announced that Snake River Falls was going to be closing down. And then they started teasing a new ride. And at this
yeah,
point, like Siren's Curse, this tilt coaster was not on anybody's radar that I know of. So, like,
right.
the rumor mill was going around that because Cedar Point was teasing, like, kind of a water ride, like with the mermaid or the
Yeah, they
sirens or
were kind
whatever.
of making it seem like it was going to be
Yeah,
something to replace Snake River Falls.
exactly. And so saw several people suggest that it could be one of these new flat rides that like the power splash, like I can't remember what it's called, but it looks like a top spin but splashes in the water.
Yeah,
But
right, right.
anyways, but we are all wrong because it was a tilt coaster. No one saw that coming. But I could still see
Nobody.
them adding this flat ride because as far as I know, there's not one of them in the United States. So it would be the
I
first
don't think so.
one, which
Yeah.
would be something I'm sure Cedar Point would like to say that they have the first one of these flat
Oh,
rides.
we know they love that
Yeah. Uh,
that title.
yeah, they like to be the first or the fastest,
Yes,
tallest, whatever.
all of
Um,
that.
yeah, and did you ever explore Adventure Island when Forbidden Frontier was open?
Yeah, I went once. I just kind of walked around.
Yeah.
I felt kind of out of place. I think I was just by
Yes.
myself
Yeah.
that trip,
Yeah.
which is weird. I
Yeah.
just go to Cedar Point by myself sometimes,
Yeah.
guys.
I
But
I would totally do that.
yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. But
Uh-huh.
I think I just moseyed around and yeah,
It
I was like, I feel weird. This is a
y
lot. There's a lot of kids, you
yeah,
know?
for Adventure Island is interesting because so before Forbidden Frontier they used it for Dinosaurs Alive,
Yeah.
and I think they've maybe used it for like a Halloween haunt,
Yes.
like
At one
outdoor
point,
scare zone at one point.
I think so. Yes.
And then for Forbidden Frontier, like I think in theory it was an interesting idea because I think they
Hmm.
were trying to do something like Ghost Town Alive,
Yeah.
um, which
But it
is at
just
Knott's
didn't.
Berry Farm.
Yeah.
But yeah, it just so the one time I checked it out, it did feel out of place.
Yeah.
Um,
For sure.
and I could see it wasn't as popular as I think they were hoping it would be.
Yeah.
So that land out there is interesting though. I mean, there's a lot you can do with it. Part of me likes that there's nothing out there, and I think it's like cool
Hmm.
for Millennium Force, like to just go out on this like island and
Right.
just be surrounded by trees. So I don't want them to like completely like fill the whole space with stuff like concrete and rides and that kind of thing. But I
Right.
think there's good opportunity, like if you have a wooden coaster that would go out there and interact with Millennium Force a little bit.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
yeah,
Like interacting with that overbank turn, even like that
yeah.
would be. Ooh. That'd be
I can't,
awesome.
yeah, but I can't see them ever having like people actually be able to physically walk out there ever or anytime soon,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
with a Forbidden Frontier type of thing. But
Right. Yeah, I agree with
yeah,
that. Yeah, I for sure. I think ultimately it's going to be they're going to maximize that land, right?
yeah,
Cedar Point is
yes,
quite landlocked,
yeah,
unfortunately. So they're going to do, I truly believe, more than just one thing. I
yeah.
think there
I
will
think so
be
too.
yeah, like a wooden coaster, and then
Hmm.
honestly, possibly two flat rides, or even a flat ride and a log flume,
Yeah,
because Snake River Falls, they have already got the water
yeah,
system going. Maybe
right.
they'll find a way to repurpose that or
Yeah,
something.
maybe they could build a wooden coaster with a splashdown.
Ooh,
That could be
there,
cool.
there we go. That would
Uh-huh.
take a, whew,
Well,
that would take
even
a toll. But
yeah.
yeah,
Well,
that'd be
so
awesome.
and I just thought of something else. So like with all these
Yeah,
rides that are being removed or have been removed, so there's kind of the two access points that come to mind for a new coaster would be either where you would go to ride Shoot the Rapids, which
yeah,
would be from like the Frontier Trail area,
right.
or the other spot that comes to mind would be over by like where the Snake River Falls entrance was, which is also by Skyhawk.
Skies, yeah. Mhm.
But there is a third location too, which would be over by Camp Snoopy, where you would board the Snake River Expedition boat
Oh,
ride. Like along
true.
the bank there, the river, you could
And
get,
make a bridge.
yeah, you could take a bridge and get over if they did want to do something with that island
Ooh,
again. Um,
okay.
there's always been rumors that Mine Ride is on the chopping block, which is also like surrounding this area as well.
Yeah, I think they're, I think they're probably, I think the boardwalk is going to continue to expand in some way.
Hmm.
Um, but I think ultimately they're going to start shifting their focus into that area.
Yeah.
And Mine Ride might be on the chopping block.
Hmm.
Unfortunately, I mean, it's not the best, but it's historic.
Yeah,
Um,
that'd be one argument I would have for keeping it is for its
yeah,
historic meaning to the park. Because I don't
yes,
like, I mean, I love new rides obviously, but I don't want them to take out, some of these iconic, original rides just to replace it with something new. Because then I think you start to lose some of the charm.
yeah, I agree with that. And I think Corkscrew and Gemini are the two non-negotiables. They'll never go.
I
You
agree.
know, I,
And
I think those are the
Magnum,
two.
Magnum,
And Magnum as
yeah,
well. Yes, you could absolutely say that that's the Holy
yeah,
Trinity.
yeah,
Um, I
and
think
Blue
I
Streak,
yes, Blue Streak.
yeah, uh-huh.
I could honestly see Blue Streak at some point if they want to expand past Raptor. They'd be like, "Well, all right, guys, like
Yeah,
we'll sell you the scraps. Don't
yeah,
kill us,
yeah,
but we got to take it down." You
yeah,
know. But
yeah.
yeah, I think uh, that's where we're gonna start. They're gonna start channeling their focus into that area.
Yeah, I agree. And really, like they've been trying to use this area for the last, 15 years, but it's just been nothing permanent. Like they tried with
Right,
Shoot the Rapids, lasted 6 years. They tried with Forbidden Frontier, that lasted like 3 years. They tried with
right.
Snake River Expedition, that lasted three
2 years,
years or 2 or 3 years,
2 or 3. Yeah,
So, and even with Frontier Fling, that's lasted, maybe 10 years it's been there, but how popular
yeah.
is a Ripcord ride or whatever? So, I
It's an
think.
upcharge ride.
Right, and this is such a beautiful, valuable piece of land in the park. Like probably the prettiest area of the park to me
Yeah,
anyway is along
I
through
agree.
Frontier Trail and then seeing Shoot the Rapids, like the water right there, and you get a great
Yeah,
view of like Top Thrill 2 and Millennium Force. So I think like they really need to come up with something good and something that will be around for a long time, 20 plus
yeah,
years.
yeah. They need to really use their conglomerative Six Flags Cedar
Yeah.
Fair brain and make something that will actually draw people to that end
Yeah.
of the park.
And probably not from Intamin.
No, God, no, no,
No.
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 And honestly, they're not going to do Zamperla either. I'm
No, no,
I'm
sorry
just going to
guys.
probably
Yeah, you
guess
had a
that that's
chance
not going to happen.
and you completely blew it.
And you shit the bed.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Bleep that out. Sorry,
Okay.
I
It's
should.
okay. All right.
Sorry.
No, they totally did. There's no other way to say it. All right.
Yeah.
How would you like to watch a commercial from
Oh,
2010 of Shoot the Rapids before we wrap up this episode.
let's do it.
Okay, so this would have been aired on TV in 2010.
Been fighting wild rivers my whole life. Had some hair-raising adventures, too. But none compared to the
It's like
likes
a
of
gold
Shoot
painting
the
guy.
Rapids. The new canyon carver at Cedar Point.
With 2 huge drops and 2,100 feet of raging rapids, it's a thrilling wild river adventure. New at Cedar Point, Shoot the Rapids.
This river runs wild.
This
This
river
river
runs
runs
wild. That was the
wild.
catchphrase.
Yeah.
Commercial is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Just a side note, when I was looking for that commercial for Shoot the Rapids, I came across an old Ride Warriors commercial.
Ride Warriors.
So cheesy, but
It's
so
terrible.
awesome. All right.
That
Yeah.
was a golden era. We
Yeah.
need to do an episode on the Ride Warriors era.
We absolutely should.
Oh my
Let's
gosh.
do that.
Stay tuned, guys.
Yeah. So yeah, just to wrap this up. So with Snake River Falls, obviously that's going to be removed now. When do you see something replacing like Shoot the Rapids, Snake River Falls? Obviously we have Siren's Curse next summer, so it's it could be, 2026 at the earliest, but do you think it'd be that soon?
No, I think if they're going to do something as extensive as we kind
Mm-hmm.
of hypothesize, it'll probably be 26, 20, or no, sorry. Yeah, 26, 27, I'd say.
That'd be my guess too. Just
Yeah.
mainly because I do know, Six Flags said that they're going to be investing like $500 million or something in their parks over the next few years. But with Cedar Point, they got the Wild Mouse, which is not a lot of money, but the Wild
Yeah.
Mouse, Chopped Liddle 2, now Siren's Curse, like all 3 years in a row. I don't imagine they're going to be doing four
Yeah.
coasters in a row, 4 years. So
Yeah.
yeah, I would guess 2027. Um, and then I think we may start to see some signs of construction though during
Yeah.
this next summer, 2026.
Yeah, and part of
Um,
me wonders if they do something small scale there
hmm
first, like 2026,
Yeah.
they put in a flat ride, kind of just to draw
hmm
people into that area, and
hmm
then from there they make the coaster announcement or whatever.
Yeah, I could see that.
But yeah.
hmm
Anyway.
Yeah, so it'll be exciting to see what they do. I think, like I said, that's such a great area of the park, and I think it's
Hmm.
a golden opportunity for them to build like something that everyone's gonna love. Hopefully, a wooden
Absolutely.
coaster.
Yes, hopefully. My goodness.
Yes. Well, all right, guys. Thanks for listening. You can check us out on Instagram at Airtime Misfits. Go back and listen to our old episodes because they're all pretty good.
They are.
Yeah.
They're pretty darn good, I'd even say.
Yeah. All right, guys. Thanks for listening, and we will catch you next time.